Hello awesome people of YouTube, welcome back to another game of Starcraft 2. This game I am going to be focusing a little bit harder on my camera control. I have noticed that some people say that while my cast can be entertaining and of course the voice can be better and all this kind of stuff, one of the things that's lacking most on my channel is actually the camera control. So we'll be trying to do that a little bit better in this game. Now just since this is the beginning, let's quickly introduce our new player here, uThermal. I've already introduced in the previous game, so quickly AT Gaming Netherlands. And yeah, so at uThermal is his Twitter login as well. And his opponent in this one is going to be another Terran, and it's I don't know how to pronounce this, but I think it's supposed to be Ailillekanin. Okay, I'm just gonna call it AI because I honestly, you know, Ale. Let's call him Ale because honestly I don't know how to pronounce that. He's from Team Redbloods and apparently he's also the captain according to his Twitter feed. So he is representing Denmark in this one, and we're currently at 2-1 in favor of Netherlands. So this is still from the Nation Wars. Yes, I am going to be casting pretty much all of those games, well, most of them. We're going to see how this one moves on. So let's bring up the production tab. Looks like we have quite similar builds coming out from both of our players. The only thing is Ale has actually decided to go for one gas, whereas uThermal looks like he's interested in a double gas. I wonder if he is going to bring up a second and third barracks, or if he's going to tech pretty much straight away. But we're going to of course see how that progresses, what it's going on here. This is actually a factory coming out, so both players going for factories pretty much straight off. So is it going to be a 1-1-1? Is it going to be a Reaper harassment? No, neither players actually opt to get Reapers here. So possibly going to see a bit of a macro game here, and that'll be pretty cool. I would like to see that. Although at the same time, if it was a macro game, they would potentially have just built out that command center straight away at the beginning. I mean, right after the barracks, of course. Now, it does appear that both players have actually gone completely the wrong way with scouting, so neither of them has found the other guy yet, but I suppose at this point, Ale is going to be already aware of where uThermal is. There we go, the Marine is going to be going down here. And uThermal is also aware of where Ale is. So as you can see here, it does look like we have a 1-1-1 build coming out for both of these players. uThermal actually opting to get no English right now. Opting to get a Hellion pretty much straight on. He's actually going for a second one as well. So obviously trying to roast himself a few SCVs just to do that bit of harassment, and that is quite alright. We do like doing that. One of the things that I see is it's actually not done as much as I'd like it to, is actually like 2 or 3 Hellions being dropped into the main base, or even running them straight into the mineral line and just roasting yourself a bit of barbecue, because they do so much damage. I mean, if you think about it, I can't actually check on this UI. I believe it's about 21 or so damage versus light units, and when you have of course a few of these Hellions all together, they pretty much I think it's 3-shot on an SCV. So basically, you know, the amount of SCVs you can potentially take, since of course it is an area of effect damage, is quite ridiculous when you have about 3 or 4 Hellions just going in from both sides. So let's see how this is going to go down. Looks like Ale is actually denying an expansion here. Doesn't though look that like uThermal is even interested in this at the moment. So I'm kind of seeing this being cancelled. Nope, he does actually end up finishing it, so that's a little bit of a waste. Only thing it does, of course, is Ale is going to have a little bit more time because uThermal is going to be busy on this. Now, honestly, I don't think that he should even bother at the moment, since he's not even thinking of expanding just yet. It does look like Ale is actually building up his own command center here. Now, one thing to note, there's a Raven coming out for Ale. Something you don't really see that often. I wonder, actually, is that a misclick? Because he is getting stealth for Banshees. I wonder, was he just meant to get Banshees here and not a Raven? So a bit of a strange choice of tech. We're of course going to see how that goes out. Oh, there we go. Actually cancels the stealth. So that's definitely interesting. There we go. We do have a Hellion drop. Is he going to roast himself some SCVs? There we go. Starting to do a lot of damage with that pretty much straight away. And there we go. Only manages to get 3 of them before the units come in here. So a little bit unfortunate for him. But look at the amount of damage that he's doing now. At this point, starting to be more and more effective. A lot of the Marines getting quite worn down as well. So, of course, I believe that actually paid off quite nicely. He didn't do a huge amount of damage, but he's going to have to pump out medevacs now to bring these units up to health. Because look at them, they're all pretty damn low. Let's have a quick look at that Hellion. 10 health. And a few of these also on about half health as well. So I believe that's two stims if I'm not mistaken. Or it could have of course been a few of those bombs that the Reapers threw down. So let's see what's going to be continuing on here. Looking at the production tab, it does appear that there is a factory coming out for Ail. That's actually, I believe, a second factory coming out. So probably going to start pumping out siege tanks out of it. There we go. Reapers being dropped into the main base. This is actually going to be warded off very, very quickly. There is actually a widow mine in the middle line here as well. So basically, if anything gets close, it's going to get taken out pretty damn quick. So of course, going to be very, very careful not to get near that widow mine. I suppose at this point, he's probably aware of it. And just to note, there's two Vikings out here already, and they're actually going to start taking out this medevac. Is he going to catch him? I don't think he will. I do think that the medevac is going to be a little bit faster. And there we go, is managing to get away there. In terms of tech, it does look like uThermal finally deciding to go for that expansion. Now let's have a quick look at this one. Ail's expansion is actually not that far ahead. Of course, uThermal is still going to have to get himself the orbital command here, but it's not actually that far considering the fact that it was built, or Ail actually built his one so long ago. Let's have a quick look at the income tab here. Looks like Ail, of course, is double right now, but that is, of course, because he does have a few mules here, and he's already got a few SCVs, which is going to make a huge difference for him. So, what is this exactly? This is another barracks being built, so bringing him out onto Tech Lab, so that's quite interesting. I wonder, is he just going to get double upgrades, or if he's going to go for Marauders? Probably just going to get the Combat Shield and Stim Pack, which, of course, would be quite standard at this time of the game. There we go. It does look like Ail actually has his own Hellions. I keep forgetting their name because they're not that popular anymore. So there we go, bringing them around, just scouting a little bit. I think he just wants to see if there's an expansion. But he has, of course, revealed that these guys are in play right now. So if he gets a little bit too close with them, could potentially lose them very, very quickly, since uThermal is going to have his units ready. Now this is, it seems to be some sort of weird development, to be honest. At this point, I'm going to assume that the actual Raven was brought out to basically detect units. It is a detector, as you can see here. So detecting Banshees is the main play here, instead of basically doing anything like damage or something with it. Obviously it still has the turret, it has the little bomb thing, which I think got nerfed a little bit. But I think the reason they were brought out was to basically prevent Banshee harassment. Now, saying that, I'm not quite sure if that is something that Terran players are now going to start doing or not. It does look like uThermal has another command center coming out. But yeah, as I was saying there, the method that I've observed from Terran versus Terran so far, and it's been quite a lot actually, is basically get a bunch of Marines and siege tanks and just stay with that. And at that point, whoever has better control of their siege tanks pretty much dominated the game from there on end. And the way you tell, oh, that poor Reaper getting taken out very quickly there. Now, the way you would basically tell who is microing his siege tanks better is essentially who puts their siege tanks down faster outside of their medevacs when the engage actually goes on. So obviously something very, very cool to have if the meta is changing a little bit. Now, as I thought, this could exactly be that. So as you can see, the Raven is traveling with the Vikings, and there was a stealthed Banshee here. This kind of suggests that that Banshee was indeed going to be doing a bit of harassment here, but of course the Raven would be able to catch that out. Now it looks like there was Blue Flame. Actually, Blue Flame Hellions have been researched for Ail. Now, what that does is it increases the damage that Hellions do. It's like a napalm damage, and looks like 3 Vikings here actually out for Ail, so gonna be a little bit dangerous for uThermal. He doesn't want to get too close to it. Looking at supply counts also, it does look like Ail actually has a much superior army. There's a lot of siege tanks here, but at the same time he's going to have to bring them onto this high ground versus a bunch of already sieged up tanks. So he's going to be a little bit at a disadvantage trying to engage onto this, but at the same time he has so many units. There we go, it does look like there have been some point defense drone put down. What that does basically is just defense against missile attacks, which of course is starting to come into effect here. Now supply counts are dwindling very, very quickly here. uThermal is looking to come out on top here, probably because of the early siege tank placements. which of course pay off quite nicely. Very, very good played here with the Marauders. And somebody was telling me, Marauders not that great anymore, you know, Marines are awesome. But then look at the amount of damage these Marauders have done. Because they have so much health, they're able to absorb so much damage from these siege tanks. And then at the same time, they can chase them down and basically destroy whatever the hell they want because they're so high on damage. Now, they did lose a bit of damage in a previous patch. Obviously, they don't do as much damage as before, but I still think it's definitely worth making them, in my opinion, simply because of how tanky they are. Because think of Marines. If you have a fully upgraded tank versus a 3 armor Marine, I do believe that the tank will actually end up still two-shotting it no matter what. Whereas a fully upgraded Marauder, I actually have to figure out how much exactly it's going to take, but it's probably going to take about 3 or 4 shots to take them out. Now let's see what the engage is going to look like. So army supplies are very, very similar. There's actually an engage going on here inside the maze base, taking out a few SCVs, and as I said, trying to work on my camera play a little bit. Not going to focus too much on this in case there's something else going on. And a huge amount of damage has been done here already. 7 SCVs at the moment destroyed. This is of course getting cleaned up here, as you can see. And oh my god, these SCVs heading back here a little bit too early. Oh, I did miss that. Just as I was saying that I was going to work on my camera work. As you can see here, this base getting so much damage done onto it. Total of 19 SCVs have been destroyed so far. And at this point, Ail is actually dwindling on workers. Look at that, 22 to 58 workers. All that uThermal has to do really at this point is just continuously pressure the units here. And eventually he will come out on top here. So he has decided to actually move out. Now he does have a slightly bigger armor supply. This does not mean that he will come out on top. It only means that he has overall a better army supply or a bigger army supply. But of course here it's going to matter. Whoever engages with the siege tanks first has a big advantage. 1 siege tank taken out, 2 siege tanks taken out. Third one is about to get sniped off as well. These Marauders doing their work, paying off for themselves. And look at all those siege tanks. There is still 4 left, so the push is continuing. As you can see, the army supply is still favoring Ail. So is he going to pull this off? Even though the fact that uThermal did so much damage to his economy, this could potentially be called right here. There's 4 siege tanks very nicely set up here, denying any sort of access between the 2 bases. And of course the natural here quickly getting bombarded as well. Now finally, now at this point, uThermal starting to come back into this. And as you can see, the army supply quickly favoring him, probably because his economy is going to be a lot better. Let's have a quick look. Why did that zoom in so close? Yeah, there we go. So the economy is absolutely massive here for uThermal in comparison to Ail. So very well held off here. And I think that if he counterattacks at this point, 50 army versus 18 is not going to be very good for him at all. And I think that uThermal is in a position to end this game right now. And look at this. Definitely something well played here. There we go. GG actually called. But I have to commend uThermal here for his Marauder use. A lot of pro players these days, from the games I've seen so far and casted so far, all they do is just Marine and Siege Tank. uThermal deciding to go a little bit different here, getting out a bunch of Marauders, and honestly I do feel that those paid off quite well. Okay, and there you go, game number 4 gets taken by the Netherlands here and uThermal. So very, very well played here. I have to say that was actually pretty awesome with the Marauders. And god, dude, honestly, thank you so much for making the Terran versus Terran game less boring than seeing just 2 types of units. That was really awesome of you, and I really appreciate it. So that's pretty much it, guys. I hope you have enjoyed this game. If you did, please consider leaving it a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys in the game number 5, which is going to be cast in just a few moments. See you guys next time.